wake up instantly because you're like, what is that? Once is an occurrence, right? Twice is a pattern, and then the third time is a problem. I went from feeling like overly confident and sort of arrogant to scared you-know-what-less.
I just remember him getting sick and getting sicker and sicker. And I got to my knees and I started to cry. I mean, I howled and I wept. And I couldn't believe that he died.
I felt like he was looking at me. And I started thinking, like, am I in the wrong place? Am I doing something I'm not meant to be doing? It was just so strange. It was just me and him in the middle of this place.
I got word he passed away. Then I had quite a feeling of loss. I was depressed. I had no outlet for my music. I had given up, and all of a sudden, it was freezing cold. And sure enough, I looked up.
You know, people often talk about, you know, ghosts and paranormal, and, you know, because it's one of these unexplained things. We can't explain it, you know, really. We try. So whenever people ask me, this is a great one to tell because it really happened, and it's pretty freaky. I was on tour, doing a national tour with Dancing with the Stars. And we were touring all around the nation, staying at, you know, great hotels. We rolled into this one hotel, turn of the century hotel, and you could tell, I mean, it was amazing looking. You pulled up to it and you could just, you know, sense the early 1900s. It really was sort of frozen in time, like 1906, I think, or something like that. I think whenever you know, see an old piece of architecture, it's beautiful, but you know, some of that turn of the century stuff was ominous. It's not warm and comfy. It's sort of cold and austere in a way. And so pulling up to something like that, you're looking up at it going, wow, this is kind of creepy. It's a 5-star hotel and beautiful and everything, but creepy. And that was my first impression. I had my family with me, so I had my daughter, who was about 6.5 months old, and my wife. And we were probably in the middle of a 48-city tour, so 24 cities in. Tired. It's the same old routine. You bring the overnight bags in, and we had to lug, you know, the bouncy seat and the portable high chair and all the baby toys. So we had, you know, like 2 little bags and then like 3 satchels of baby gear, because that's what you need. You know, they're this big, but you need 400 things. So we checked in, and it was funny. They were all dressed up. It looked like something out of the game Clue. They were all dressed in these very formal sort of uniforms. The elevators were huge and massive and old, and the hallways were about, you know, probably, I don't know, 15 foot wide. It was pretty amazing. But we get into the room, and it was a quaint room, old but quaint, and large too. We felt strange being in there because it just wasn't, you know, comfy and warm. And we had like the baby toys in there and stuff. We brought like the bouncy seat up and stuff like this. And some of her toys would make noises and squeal, and lights, keep them occupied. Anything you can do to keep them occupied at that age. About midnight, from the time we got back from the venue, I showered off because you're sweating for 2.5 hours, and my wife nursed our baby, and then she rocked her, and we were able to get her to bed, and we laid her down. She slept in a little nap nanny that was like right in between us. And we get to sleep, and about 45 minutes into that REM sleep, a few of her toys started to make noises. You wake up instantly because you're like, what is that? You know, no noises, the baby's asleep, no noises, please. And her toys were sort of over by the chest of drawers that were near the bathroom, probably about 10 feet from us. I ran over, and this little keyboard that she had that sort of lit up, like the keys lit up, was like 4 keys, but they were big keys and they lit up, was on. And the lights were flashing, and it was making like one of the noises that it makes, you know, this little doo-doo thing. And I couldn't believe it. And another one of her toys, which just glows, was on. I went across the room and I turned the toys off. And I got back in bed. And about 30 minutes later, just as we're getting ourselves settled, the toys turn on again, which was like bizarre. So my wife was like, what is going on? So I said, it's nothing. Just to make my wife happy, I turned them off, made sure they were off, and then I put them in the bathroom. We kind of laid back down, and my daughter was nodding back off, and, you know, you're just kind of laying there. My eyes weren't open, my eyes were closed because it was dark, so, you know, you're just trying to force yourself to get some rest. And about an hour later, this time it was probably like 2:30 in the morning, the bathroom light turns on. We shut up, you know, and I looked at my wife and then ran over there. It was bright light. Are you kidding me? The light in the bathroom is on. And, you know, that's not like a toy. There's no auto switch, so definitely not in this hotel. There was no auto switch. So I went into the bathroom and checked it out, make sure nobody was in the bathroom. What? It's happening again. These crazy, wacky toys kept turning on again, which I didn't even tell my wife that because I didn't want to freak her out, so. When I got back in bed, she was sort of looking at me like, what was it? And I was, you know, and I just said, I honestly have no idea.
Joey, I'm scared.
There was something strange in the room. I mean, my wife and I were not people to instantly go to the paranormal or ghosts or anything like this, but something was not right. And, you know, we didn't sleep for the rest of the night because it was just too coincidental. You know, once is an occurrence, right? Twice is a pattern, and then the third time is a problem. So this is the third time and was not fun. Next morning, baby woke up at about 6:45, 7 o'clock. We were happy for those little cries, you know. We were actually ready to go. I talked to the front desk manager. I said, what's the deal? I told him that the toys were turning on and the bathroom light turned on, and he said, oh, well, that makes sense. And I said, what do you mean it makes sense? And he said, well, you obviously don't know about the history of the hotel. Apparently, the guy who built the hotel had forced his son into an arranged marriage. And on his son's wedding night, his bride was killed. It was ruled an accidental death, but theory had it that the son, wanting no parts of his new bride, decided to take matters into his own hand. When everyone had partied the night away and had gotten happily drunk and was asleep, decided that he was going to rid himself of this bride, I guess, that he wanted no parts of, and pushed her down the shaft. I guess her ghost haunts the hotel. That's what he told me. That was his reasoning for my lights coming on. It had gotten to me, sort of that story, and the night before, because it was just too weird to be coincidental. Got the family loaded on to the bus and checked out and said our goodbyes, and I went back up to the room to get the last 2 bags that we had up there. I never would say anything like this to anybody, but because it happened, that's why you sort of tell people. But on my way out of the room, I said,
"Thanks for the scare.
Goodbye, ghosts." Just like that, like off the cuff, I guess, like you do cheesy when you're by yourself. So I said, I guess sort of in a defiant manner, I said, "Goodbye, ghosts." Like, you didn't get the best of us, despite what you wanted to try to do or what you intended. And there was this big picture window that was in the front of the room. The door was here, and the picture window was here. And underneath the picture window were the air conditioning vents that housed the air conditioning unit. And they had like, these large panels that were over them, and then a little vent in the middle. And as soon as I said,
Bye, ghosts.
the 3 panels blew off the wall. Not like fall off, like they blew off. And I freaked out. I went from feeling like overly confident and sort of arrogant to like scared you-know-what-less. It was tremendous force. They blew right out of there. It wasn't like a little tap. These were like, "Get out." It was a great scare. It was a tremendous scare. It was tremendously overwhelming at the moment, and really freaked me out. And on my way out, I said to the front desk guy, I said, "I don't think you got the ghost." And he was like, "You have a baby, don't you?" And I was like, what does that mean? He said the bride was pregnant when she was pushed down the elevator shaft.
You're gonna do a ripside that woman and that baby.
So she tends to haunt rooms that have infants because she is envious of the life that she could never have as a mother and as a wife. And like that gave me like goosebumps, and I was like, "Thank you," like left. And that was our experience, but it was one that I'll remember forever.
I think there's a part of me that strongly, strongly feels there is something that is so big that's beyond anything that we can comprehend. It's that thing that is there, but you don't know how to talk about it. It's just a world that we're not familiar with. I am a twin. I have a twin brother, and I grew up with my mom, who is divorced. And my mom worked a lot, so when I was a little girl, every weekend, my brother and I would spend with my grandmother and grandfather. The house was really beautiful. My grandmother had this gorgeous backyard with a little pond and the koi fish that you could ring the bell and they would come and eat out of your hand. And the house always had something cooking in it. My grandmother loved to bake, and in the den, they would have classical music playing all the time. The house was just a warm, happy place for me. And my grandfather, hands down, loved us more than anybody's ever loved me. I absolutely feel that the love that my grandfather has given me has been the shining light in my life. He had this smile. It wasn't just his mouth that smiled, but his eyes that smiled, his whole being that smiled. He was just a beautiful man. He was one of 8 children, and his family was actually very, very, very poor. At one point, they weren't able to take care of their kids. And he grew up during the Depression in New York. He didn't have very much money. It was difficult even to feed himself. And he used to walk the streets of New York. And when it would get really cold, my grandfather would go to the library. He had to stop his education when he was in 6th grade because he had to go to work to help take care of the family. So he was really a self-taught man. And he would go to the library and he would read poetry, and it gave him such solace and comfort. And those poems that he read and reread and reread were poems that he shared with my brother and I as children. The poem that really links all of this together for me: let me live in a house by the side of the road where the race of men go by, the men who are good, the men who are bad, as good as bad as I. Don't let me sit in the scorner's seat nor hurl the cynic's band. Let me live in a house by the side of the road and be a friend to man. My grandfather used to say that that poem really talked about the common man, and that
nobody's any different.
We are all the same, and nobody's better or worse than anybody else. And that poem for him embodied how he lived his life. When I was around 8, my grandfather got cancer. He was very sick, and I used to go to the hospital because he loved these poems, and he had a poem book.
Let me live in a house.
And I would sit and read poetry to my grandfather. I didn't want to be away from him because I felt like if I was away from him that he wouldn't make it, and if I was with him that he could be strong.
Men who are good
and I just remember him
as good and as bad as
getting sick and getting sicker and sicker. And my mother had been with him, and I remember her coming home, and she said my grandfather had died. I remember I got to my knees and I started to cry. I mean, I howled and I wept, and I couldn't believe that he died. A couple of days after my grandfather had died, I was sleeping, and it was like something was, it woke me up. And I remember just like opening up my eyes, and I felt like something was different in the room. And I remember that light in the clock had flashed, like gone off and on. I was freaked out. And then I saw my grandfather just like standing there, and it was kind of like a reverse shadow. It was his energy, it was his light, it was his image. It was also that feeling that I had when I was with him. He was there with me. I just knew it was him. I could actually hear his voice in my ear, and him telling me the poem of let me live in a house by the side of the road. I could feel his hands going down my face and feel the warmth of him. And I knew that I had had that moment with my grandfather. And even though it scared me, it made me happy to be able to hear him, to hear the poem. And then he was gone. I couldn't believe it. For him to come and be in the room with me, and to have his presence, and to feel him physically, and to see him and to hear him was an amazing thing. It was actually about 3 years ago that my mother's been sick. She was in heart failure. And the doctors had said to us that they didn't feel she was going to make it. I remember being at the hospital with her day and night, trying to let her know that I was there with her. And I was really drained. And I went home one night to lay down with my daughter, who was then 8 years old. She was the age that I was when my grandfather had been sick and then died. And I remember laying down next to her and just needing to be held. I think being so sad and tired. And she said,
Let me live in a house by the side of the road, where the race of men go by. The men who are good.
the men who are good, the men who are bad, as good as bad as I. Don't let me sit in the scorner's seat, nor hurl the cynic's band. Just let me live in a house by the side of the road and be a friend to man. And I said, Molly, I don't know how you're doing. Where did you know? And she said, Mommy, I just know. And laying down next to my daughter and feeling her touching my face. That same face, the way that he touched me, and to hear her in my ears telling me the poem like my grandfather had. And for me, that was truly him coming to comfort me. That was so amazing for me to know that he somehow was coming through to me through my daughter to let me know that things were okay. It was going to be okay. I think that she's really special and she carries the essence of my grandfather. And I thank him for being able to be there for me during a time of real sadness. And I know that when the time comes for me to pass, that I will be with him. It's an amazing thing. Life just never ends. It just kind of continues on through all of us.
I believe personally that not all that is seen is all that's there. Some people are open. You could just sense things. When I was 11, my family was vacationing, visiting my aunt and uncle and cousins in Sicily. Both my parents, are from there, and whenever we went, we'd spend a month, usually the month of August. And the town that we were staying in and where my aunt lived had suffered an earthquake in 1968. And so most of the people in the town now, which had been destroyed, lived in metal army barracks. It was a makeshift town in a lot of ways. And there wasn't really running water still. And everybody would go to this local, it wasn't a well, but it was a tap where you could fill up these giant canteens with water and bring them back to your house. And that's how you got your water in the house. So that was like a weekly thing. A lot of the games that I played with my cousins, we'd kick the ball around. There was a lot of makeshift playing, and sometimes I would just wander off on my own. So this one day, I was making my way towards where that tap was. And, looking down and stuff, and then I looked up, and in the distance, I saw this person sitting on a mule, and he had something that looked to me like it was a shovel, kind of stuck somehow coming out of his back, As I started getting closer, I realized he had on a cap with a little beak, and I felt like he was looking at me, and I started thinking, like, am I in the wrong place? Am I doing something I'm not meant to be doing? There was something incredibly solitary about him. He looked sad. Something just told me, don't go over there. It was just a strange, it was just me and him in the middle of this place. So I looked down and, was acting like I was just still doing what I was doing. And I didn't want to look up at him again. And when I did glance up quick, out of the corner of my eye, he wasn't there anymore. I looked around and just felt like I have to just run back to my aunt's house. So I started walking, and then I started jogging, and then just started running. This was just getting spookier and spookier. I mean, I thought it was unexplainable. And the next night, so I'm laying in bed, and it's kind of hot, and I can't sleep very well. And it's dark. It's dark out, it's dark in the room. And you hear this dog kind of, not just barking, but it was howling at something. Almost like the dog was in danger or being injured, or just a sound that didn't sound right. And it was kind of distressing. And then it kind of started fading away, and I laid back down. And all of a sudden, I felt this on the back of my head. Distinctly, it was this just on the back of my head, little tiny taps, almost like, go to sleep, and a pat, little taps, like a parent would do. I knew it was a hand that touched me. I knew that there was an entity in the room. Your heart stops. You stop breathing. I couldn't believe that something just touched me. That thing or that energy let me know I'm definitely here. I closed my eyes and I stopped breathing. I just kind of went for, I don't know how long it was, until I kind of like take a breath and lift my head and look, what was that? And I was scared, very scared. And I laid awake, felt like, almost till morning, till I just kind of passed out. And the next day, I got up and, my cousins would be around. And my cousin, Mary, we had a great rapport in terms of talking about things that we were thinking. And I said, I had the weirdest thing happen to me. I saw this person sitting on a mule, and he was looking at me. And the next night, I was laying in bed, and I felt something go like this on my head. And she believed every word that I said, as if she was there with me, and eyes getting wider. And I'm like, what? And she says to me, come with me. And she's calling to her mother, and she's like, Ma, where's that picture of the feast when everybody was together? It's like a town event or feast where people that belong either to a certain club all get together and take the big group picture. So it's in the drawer with all these other pictures. And my cousin says, where is that guy?
This is it.
This one here. Is that him? And my cousin, I guess, had figured that it was him because of he did own a mule. And I'm looking at him. And I'm seeing the guy that I saw. And I'm seeing this guy in this picture. Yeah, that's him.
That was the guy.
My aunt says,
No, it can't be.
it wasn't him. He died 2 years ago. we both are like trembling. Like, you want to just start crying.
Does he have a son?
And we both look at the picture of the kid.
This is his son.
And we look exactly alike almost. I mean, identical. So similar. This was just getting spookier and spookier. So the story is that the man had lost his wife prior to the earthquake, and so it was just him and his son. And then when the earthquake hit, he was able to get out, and the son wasn't. He was trapped in the rubble of the house. Just thinking about the sheer, desperate, helpless nightmare situation that must be. And I could just picture him digging frantically, looking for his lost son, and just being heartbroken. And everybody knew of him because on top of the tragedy that befell so many people, for him it was like a double. A few years after that happened, he got sick and died. And my cousin and I both look at each other and she's like, he's the one that touched you. Wow.
He probably thinks you're his son.
I always assumed that he just couldn't bring himself to leave where his son was, even if he was now buried. I didn't want to look at the picture anymore after that moment. And I hadn't thought about it in a long time. I wish I could help him. I wish I could give him whatever it is he wanted. He just saw something in me that reminded him of his son. Just kind of, without having to put words to it. I mean, it made sense.
Before this experience, I in no way thought about the existence of any kind of a paranormal. I am a kid from Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada, on the North Shore of Lake Superior. My mother's family was from Toronto, so I had occasion as a child to go and visit my mother's parents quite often, Phil and Lily Wood. Phil was a custom tailor. I remember a number of times going down to Adelaide Street and hanging out with my grandfather, Phil Wood, as he tailored his suits. My grandmother passed away when I was about 15, 16 years old, leaving my grandfather to fend for himself. My grandfather came up and lived with us. That's when we really bonded across the generations. He was very encouraging when I started to play the piano, discovered rock and roll from my grandfather, and was just galvanized by it. He got to see me play in my first rock and roll band. We were called the Fabulous Fugitives. And he was thrilled with the number of people. I think there might have been 60 kids came out to see us play. When he was around 85, I was in college by this time, University of Toronto, and I got word he was sick and he passed away. And then I had quite a feeling of loss about him. And I guess it stuck with me because maybe I was concerned for him or something. I missed him. And I was struggling with that. It had quite a sobering effect on me. My grandfather's funeral was the first funeral at which I was a pallbearer. First time ever being part of a funereal service and procession like that. I felt honored and a little spooked. It was a little too close to reality for comfort. So it was just 2 or 3 months after the funeral. I had a sort of a wistful, longing feeling that I had for my grandfather because he was very significant to me. And I was back at University of Toronto, and I was living in a dorm. And I was struggling with sociology, philosophy, and I didn't know what I was going to do with my life, really. Didn't have the nerve to go into show business. I was depressed. I had no outlet for my music. I had given up my high school band. The Fugitives were no longer, and I was in Toronto now trying to be an academic, and I wasn't feeling it at all. I remember being up late one night and trying to do an essay. Couldn't get anything done. It's like 2, 3 in the morning, and I'm just reached an impasse, and I'm just kind of staring at the paper, and all of a sudden, the room takes on just a different feeling. Somehow, I didn't feel like I was alone anymore. I'm conscious of a presence in the room. And all of a sudden, it was freezing cold. And sure enough, I looked up. And there was my grandfather looking exactly like he always looked. And I didn't know what was going on.
Whoa.
It was a pretty eerie scene. He said to me, "Don't be too worried about me. I'm okay here." I'm telling you, it really did release a lot of anxiety in me, I think. I'm happy to hear that he was okay, and I believe him. He wasn't just saying it to make me feel better, but it did. It made me feel a whole lot better. And then he said something that I'll never forget because it was sort of chilling in its accuracy.
One day.
He said, "You are going to have your own band."
And it's going to have your name on it.
With your name on it. Then he was gone, you know, and after he was gone, I felt good immediately. I felt calmer. It helped me to go on, and I eventually did make that decision, stand up for myself, against myself, and say, let me try music. I did go into show business. My grandfather's appearance that evening certainly gave me the courage to be a band leader. It's funny. He turned out to be right about that.